And welcome back. So, I'm doing a review, and it's Bond, James Bond. Now, why am I doing this? Well, honestly, it was a great idea. I should have started with the beginning of the month. But YouTube recently has made pretty much all the Bond films accessible. They're all free to watch for the time being, which is great. I've been rewatching a couple of them. I finally watched all of On His Majesty's Secret Service. Um, and it got me, and I've got a couple worst to best videos dealing with Bond coming up later down the line when I finally get done with some of my other videos. And I realized then that the only Bond movie I've ever reviewed is Spectre. It's the only one I've ever reviewed. And it got me thinking, why don't I just revisit the Bond movies and give my impressions on them? I mean, eventually I'll do my top Bond movies, top Bond songs, all that stuff. But why don't I just do that? And I should have done it for at the beginning, make it like a Bond December Bond movie month. Every day have a review. I'm but I missed the deadline. But I'm no, it's only the 7th right now as I'm recording this. So why don't, basically what I'm going to just do is, I think I'll do about 3 reviews a day until I'm caught up with the day. And then just every day have another review of Bond come out. As simple as that. So with that being said, we're on to the first film in the series. And we'll go obviously by order when they came out. Dr. No, which basically was the introduction of James Bond to the mainstream. It was the first true Bond movie. There's Casino Royale, I think came out before this, but that was played up for it was a comedy, it was a spoof. This was the first time we see James Bond on screen, and how Sean Connery immortalized the character. Honestly, just with that intro, I admire your luck, Mr. Bond, James Bond. Just kind of just told you what you needed to know about the character. He's suave. He can get away with murder, literally. License to kill. He's debonair. He's great with the ladies. He likes to drink. He smokes, gambles, but he's a tough guy. But he can get in over his head. Sean Connery, and also in respect to the fact that the man passed away within the last month, may he rest in peace. Sean Connery really set the bar of what Bond was kind of supposed to be. He never truly seemed out of control in the scenario. That's the weird thing about that. Later on in other movies, we see him definitely in scenarios where he's not in control, he's very much got a problem going on. But in this one, even when he's caught by Dr. No, you very rarely got the impression that he wasn't in control of the situation, except for when he's in that super hot pipe where he's trying to basically crawl through. Apart from that, it's even with dealing with Dr. No himself, you always got the impression no, Bond's got this. Bond's fine. So it was definitely trailblazing. It was definitely set the standard, as I said earlier, for 007 for Bond. I mean, we get some great, and he gave some of the some of the iconic Bond scenes, I think, actually do come, at least by Sean Connery's tenure as Bond, do come out of Dr. No. Including the car scene is both hands on the wheel. I'm very nervous passenger. It's move. You just act like being the guy. The infamous swing with the right, come in with the left punch. That's pretty funny. Underneath the mango tree, do. Yeah, I am a little surprised that wasn't the. That is one thing, and I'll bring this up more in depth when we talk about Bond songs in the worst best they'll eventually do. But it was the first Bond film, so it clearly didn't have an actual Bond music. There is no Dr. No song, basically. There's no, except we get the 3 blind mice, there they go, 3 blind mice, and underneath the mango tree. Those songs are in the movie. But no, the beginning of it is it's the actual James Bond theme. So after that, you did finally get other Bond themes and songs that went with it. So it made sense that they didn't have anyone to start with in that movie. But at the same time, it would have been cool to hear what a Dr. No song would have sounded like. But also, one of my favorite Bond scenes is in Dr. No, where the guy comes in to kill him, And he's basically just been waiting for him, playing solitaire and drinking for a while. He's got his gun there, and the guy, just unloads into the body or the pillow that he thinks is Bond. It's like, "Hello, Professor. You missed me. You missed me again." I'm trying not to do Scotch. And the guy just tries to go for the gun and tries to kill him. It's like, that's Smith and Wesson, and you've had your 6, and then just poof, just shoots him dead. And I'm like, that's one of the most badass Bond moments. This also introduced the first real Bond girl. In Sylvia Trench, who actually does make an appearance in Russia with Love at the beginning. But no, and obviously Ursula Andrews as Honey Rider, who did not speak English very well in the when she was cast. She obviously learned later on in life. But yeah, I believe they had to dub over all of her lines. But I mean, talk about iconic moment. Her coming out of the water on the beach in that bikini, like, yeah, yeah. But and then of course you have Dr. No, who was played by Joseph Wiseman, who, if I remember, I'm trying to remember what else I had seen. Was he Slugworth? I feel like he was Slugworth, wasn't he? From Willy Wonka. No, it doesn't look like it. I don't know where I got that impression from. Pretty like what else? I'm trying to remember what else I know of. Like, he played Dr. No. Let's see. The cat. He did a lot of TV work. In fact, that seems to be where he made his career from, his TV. Yeah, he's no longer. He died in 2009. But I mean, he lived to be 91, so he had a full life. But Dr. No was also the first. He was the first villain. I mean, Spectre is brought up in the Grand Bond mythos, and this is the first indication of Spectre, who is pretty much the running villain throughout the majority of the James Bond Connery series, with the exception of Goldfinger. That's the only one time Spectre is not involved in any of the James Bond movies, Sean Connery movies. Even in Never Say Never Again, yes, we'll touch on that one, because I just finished rewatching that one too. Even in the Sean even in Never Say Never Again, they still are dealing with Goldfinger's the only one that's not dealing with Spectre. It's actually dealing with something completely different. When, as a matter of fact, we move away from Spectre pretty much indefinitely come the Roger Moore era of Bond. But we'll talk about that when we get to the Roger Moore movies. But yeah, for most of the time, Bond is fighting Spectre throughout. James is fighting Spectre throughout Sean Connery's tenure, and this is the first indication we get of it. And I can't actually recall what Dr. No's rank in Spectre is. He's clearly a little higher up on the scale. Excuse me. He's obviously not a Largo, a number 2, a Blofeld, but he's still clearly a very high-ranking member. And I don't know if this set the trend that all Bond villains got to have some sort of gimmick to them, but obviously the hands. I'm like, I'll be honest. I don't quite get the whole deal with the hands. That was one thing I never understood. Like, okay, I get it. Some Bond villains have a gimmick. Drax wants to go to space, or he's eccentric millionaire, whatever. The guy from Spy Who Loved Me, I can't remember that guy's name. He had webbed hands, actually. That was his kind of gimmick. Goldfinger's obsessed with gold. Blofeld's got the scar. I'm trying to think of a couple other. Walken's a psychopath. Like legitimately, he's like a clinic psychopath in that movie. Jaws has got the teeth. So a lot of Bond villains have gimmicks. Great. I just don't get the hands. Like, even in the Pierce Brosnan one, the guy's got a bullet in his brain that's gonna, kill him eventually, but it's cutting off his senses and making him stronger as it's doing it. So, I don't know. Gimmicks, whatever, they work sometimes. Still, when Dr. No comes on screen, he's very cold. He's very almost robotic, hence like the arms, their hands. Very robotic almost, and it is intimidating. Like, he is one of the better Bond villains. I'll say this: the plan is a basic plan, taking nuclear warheads and all that, but still, But still, it's still a very well performed, role. Same with just about everyone in this film. I loved Coral. Coral is my favorite character. I think in that, I take Sean Connery out of the equation. Obviously, is my favorite character in that. Oh, no, you also getting out there. He rustles alligators. So, woman breaks a light bulb or photography bulb, cuts his face. He doesn't even flinch. Just, we're not getting nothing out of her. You want me to break her arm? It sucks that Coral died. It did. As a whole, though, it's clear, you can tell it is the first Bond film. Like, it does feel like the starting point of a series. It's well paced, absolutely. Like, unlike something, say, like From Russia with Love, which we'll talk about in the next review, or like I mentioned, Never Say Never Again, or some of the Roger Moore ones. This one felt like it's got a solid pace. I will say, upon re-watching it in certain parts, I do feel like, okay, I'd like to just move on to the next part of the film, quite frankly. It's not as bad as when we talk about Majesty's Secret Service. Ooh, we'll talk about it when we talk about it. No spoilers. But it feels like it hits its stride really well. Other movies in the Bond series do feel like they don't handle themselves as well in terms of their pacing. Now, this one always felt really well paced. The action sequences, Bond films aren't heavy on action until you get into like the Dalton to Brosnan to Craig era. But they always have a little, like, some actually, either like a chase sequence, some hand-to-hand, like that. And those are handled fine in this one, in the first one. Again, once you get into the later movies, they definitely start hitting their stride a bit more. But I'll say this. Its action was not this film's strong suit. The strong suit is the characters, the acting, everything in between with that. If there's any real complaints apart from like the pacing is fine, the action sequences are subpar. I will say that I'll say that Dr. No kind of goes at like that's another type of list too, like the best Bond villain deaths. Dr. No goes out like a bitch. Like, oh, I can't grab onto anything because of my my hands, so I'm going to just boil to death in superheated water. Great. Like, I laugh at that anytime I watch it. It's like, yeah, you're kind of a dumbass. But I mean, in terms of like, I like Sylvia Trench, and I like the fact she showed up again. She's very minimal in there, but still fine. Still solid. I like the driver who's trying to kill him, but turns out like, no, it's like, well, it's like, oh, I was sent by, it's like, no, the wrong answer. No, and then he just, that kills himself with cyanide. Oh, Dad. I like the fact you had the blind guys who were actually hitting them. That was pretty fun. I don't remember if we ever found out what happened to those guys. Maybe they're actually, for all we know, live and let die. Who knows? But ultimately, yeah, Dr. No was a really good start to the saga, the legacy that would become Bond. But I mean, that's my thoughts on Dr. No. Do you like Dr. No as one of your favorites? One of your least favorites? Is it your least favorite? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to do Russia with Love and Goldfinger today, and then we'll do the next 3 tomorrow. And then I believe by Wednesday, I should actually be caught up at that point. Actually, yeah, I'm not thinking it's the 7th. I'll do 3 more tomorrow and then 3 more on Wednesday, and I'll be completely caught up. It's like, can I time it or can I time it? God, yeah. Anyway, I digress. So I'll be back with Russia with Love. Hit that bell if you want notifications. Thanks for watching, folks.